Every 4 years, billions of people stop whatever they're doing to watch one tournament. The FIFA World Cup is more than just football. It's a celebration of nations, passion, dreams, and history. But this tournament didn't appear overnight. It all began with one simple dream, a dream that changed football forever. Long before the World Cup existed, football was already becoming one of the most popular sports in Europe. Crowds gathered every weekend to watch local clubs and national teams compete. But there was one major problem. Every country played by its own rules. What was considered a foul in one country could be perfectly legal in another. International matches often ended in confusion and disagreement. As football continued to grow, it became clear that the sport needed one organization to unite everyone under the same rules. Without it, football could never truly become a global game. That historic moment arrived on the 21st of May, 1904. In Paris, France, representatives from 7 nations came together for a meeting that would change football forever. France, Belgium, Denmark, the Netherlands, Spain, Sweden, and Switzerland became the founding members of a brand new organization. They called it the Fédération Internationale de Football Association, better known today as FIFA. The first president of FIFA was Robert Guérin, a young French journalist with a deep passion for football. Under his leadership, FIFA took its very first steps. The organization's goal was simple but ambitious: unite football under one international authority and organize competitions between nations. However, the journey was far from easy. Ironically, England, the birthplace of modern football, was not among FIFA's founding members. Many football associations were still unsure whether an international governing body was truly necessary. Despite these challenges, FIFA continued to grow. More countries joined year after year, bringing the dream of international football closer to reality. But FIFA still lacked one thing: a tournament that could bring the world's best national teams together. That dream would soon find its greatest champion, a man named Jules Rimet. In 1906, FIFA attempted to organize its first international tournament. But the competition failed. Poor planning and a lack of support meant the dream ended before it truly began. For many, it was a disappointment. But for FIFA, it was an important lesson. Over the next few years, football continued to spread across the world. More countries joined FIFA, and international matches became increasingly popular. Yet one question remained: where was the World Championship? In 1906, Robert Guérin stepped down as FIFA president. He was succeeded by Daniel Burley Woolfall of England. Woolfall worked to strengthen FIFA by introducing a more unified set of rules and improving cooperation between national football associations. Under his leadership, FIFA became more organized and more respected. Then came the First World War. From 1914 to 1918, much of Europe was devastated by conflict. Football stadiums fell silent, international competition stopped, and FIFA's future became uncertain. When the war finally ended, football slowly returned. But the world had changed forever. People wanted hope, unity, and something that could bring nations together once again. In 1921, Jules Rimet became the 3rd president of FIFA. Unlike many others, Rimet believed football was more than just a game. He believed it had the power to unite people from different countries, cultures, and languages. At that time, the Olympic Games featured football. However, only amateur players were allowed to compete. Many of the world's best footballers were professionals, which meant they were excluded from the Olympics. Jules Rimet believed the world's best players deserved their own tournament. A competition where every nation could compete, regardless of whether their players were amateur or professional. Not everyone agreed with his idea. Some believed such a tournament would be too expensive. Others doubted teams would travel such long distances just to play football. Many thought the dream was impossible. But Jules Rimet refused to give up. Year after year, he continued convincing football associations that one day, the world would gather for a single international championship. That dream was finally about to become reality. By the late 1920s, Jules Rimet's dream had become impossible to ignore. Football had grown into a global sport, and FIFA believed the time had finally come to create a true world championship. In May 1928, during the FIFA Congress held in Amsterdam, the delegates voted to establish a new international tournament for national teams. The decision was historic. For the first time, the world would have a football championship organized by FIFA. But one important question still remained: who would host the very first FIFA World Cup? The final decision came the following year. In 1929, at the FIFA Congress in Barcelona, Uruguay was officially chosen as the host nation for the inaugural FIFA World Cup. The choice was no surprise. Uruguay had already won Olympic football gold medals in both 1924 and 1928, proving they were among the strongest teams in the world. The country was also preparing to celebrate the centenary of its first constitution in 1930. To make the tournament possible, Uruguay even offered to pay the travel and accommodation expenses for every participating team. Even with that generous offer, many European nations were hesitant. Crossing the Atlantic Ocean in 1930 meant spending weeks at sea. The journey was long, expensive, and uncertain. In the end, only 4 European teams accepted the invitation: France, Belgium, Romania, and Yugoslavia. Together with teams from South America and North America, a total of 13 nations would compete in football's first World Championship. As the players sailed across the Atlantic, they carried more than football boots and uniforms. They carried the hopes of creating sporting history. Meanwhile, in Montevideo, workers raced against time to complete the magnificent Estadio Centenario, the stadium that would become the heart of the tournament. A beautiful gold trophy was prepared for the champions. Years later, it would become famous around the world as the Jules Rimet Trophy, honoring the man whose dream made the tournament possible. Finally, on the 13th of July, 1930, the first FIFA World Cup officially began in Montevideo, Uruguay. History was made almost immediately. Just 19 minutes into France's opening match against Mexico, Lucien Laurent scored the very first goal in FIFA World Cup history. Over the following days, football fans witnessed unforgettable matches as the world's best national teams battled for the greatest prize the sport had ever known. Eventually, 2 fierce South American rivals reached the final: Uruguay and Argentina. On the 30th of July, 1930, more than 90,000 supporters packed the Estadio Centenario. The atmosphere was unlike anything football had ever seen. Argentina led during the match, but Uruguay fought back with determination. When the final whistle sounded, Uruguay had won 4-2, becoming the first FIFA World Cup champions. Captain José Nasazzi proudly lifted the trophy as celebrations echoed across the nation. Jules Rimet's dream had finally become reality. From a small meeting in Paris in 1904, to a historic final in Montevideo in 1930. Football had found its greatest stage. But this was only the beginning. In the next episode, we'll discover how the World Cup entered a new era with Italy 1934 and France 1938. Against the backdrop of a world moving toward another devastating war.